Hi, so my name is Bharati Thakore and I'm the founder, CEO of New Millennium Education Partners. And I'm really excited to be here at the Online Parenting Summit 2020. Before we start, I am just going to start off my presentation right here. Yeah. So I'm the founder and CEO of New Millennium Education Partners. Our company works closely with 21st century leading edge schools to enable them to showcase their best practices. I'm also the India head of College du Le Mans International Boarding School in Geneva, Switzerland. It's one of the world's most prestigious Swiss boarding schools for children between the ages of 8 to 18. And a lot of my role in recent weeks has been to keep in constant contact with parents, educators, school owners at a time when everything has been changing for all of us. And my session today is, a little bit about what you parents need to know about supporting your children's needs, online learning needs, especially in lockdown. And this session is full of tips, advice, everything from managing your daily routine all the way to what to do when things don't quite go to plan. So ever since COVID hit, my role as the India representative of College du Le Mans boarding school has changed quite a bit, to say the least. Our school is located in Geneva, Switzerland, and normally I would meet and interact with parents, students, teachers, and school owners here in India to tell them about our school. And parents would travel to Switzerland to visit the school. This has now changed quite a bit. To virtual tours, virtual meetings, meetings across screens, which is quite a transition. And it's certainly something that's, very different. And, I think it shows how innovative we are and how as parents, students, teachers, business owners, and employees, we are able to rise to the challenge. So it's pretty amazing. And, online education at home for you parents has been challenging, and it's been challenging for everyone, for the for the students, for the teachers, for the schools. And during the last 4 months, schools in India have been shut, as you all know, since February. And each state in our country will decide when schools open in their state, and we still don't have any clear indication when that will be. So overall, for parents and schools, it's been quite a juggling act to manage all of these factors. And, as if the challenges weren't enough of balancing work and children, on June 11th, the state governments of Maharashtra, Madhya Pradesh, and Karnataka, much to the dismay of many parents and students, issued an order prohibiting private schools from conducting online lessons, which I don't personally understand or agree with. And the opinions on whether it is helpful or not for children has created quite a storm. And anyway, I resorted to the power of social media to air my opinions. And along with, many harrowed mothers and school owners, we all took to social media. And the good news is that the high courts have declared this ban unconstitutional. And it will probably be revoked quite soon. And I think in some states it's already been revoked. That being said, the challenges still remain, don't they? Parents have to, multitask like crazy, which is, never a good idea. Working moms and dads, I hear stories of them having to balance their laptops on the kitchen counter while cooking, and then of course cleaning the house and helping, their 2-year-old or 5-year-old with schoolwork, making brownies with them, doing conference calls at the same time. So while they, while the kids constantly want, attention, and they want to play with their parents. So it's really a multitasking challenge in which each day looks completely different. So far from being a holiday at home, it's probably one of the hardest times that people have worked, managing home life, personal life, and their careers. So I'm going to now play a short interview with Kainaz Davar, a working mother who is the PR manager of De Beers Diamonds and the founder of parenting blog Mummy Expressions. Let's hear some of her challenges of juggling work from home and teaching her two boys online at home.
I'm Kainaz Davar, and I've been working from home in the last few months. Both my kids, I have two kids aged 2 and 7, and both of them have been having online school. And managing a full-time job as well as online school and keeping them busy through the day has definitely been challenging. So as a working parent, you always crave to spend more time with your children. And this lockdown came as there was both ways, as a boon or a bane, the way you want to look at it. So it was challenging for starters because you've suddenly got so much time with your children, but at the same time, you have to manage all of what they were doing outdoors, indoors, as well as your own job and own life, home life and work life and everything. So we've loved it, but we'd also wish there was some sort of balance that we could have created for them. So it's been, I mean, there have been instances of emotional upheavals with the children. Like I have been on conference calls and my younger one, 2-year-old, demanding a lot of attention, and he throws a toy in my face because I'm not giving him the attention he wants. Then things going flying out of the window because but he can't. So he takes up his toy or he takes up whatever comes in hand and flings it out of the window. Yeah. So there have been times like that which have been challenging for sure, but managed to get through them and talk to them, hug them, play with them, dance with them, and try to make it a happy environment.
And how do you balance the childcare responsibilities with your husband, since you're working full time and he's working full time?
Yeah. So what we tried to do is it was initially it was very challenging. Actually, it felt like the first week of the lockdown felt like a holiday, I would say, because everyone was still adjusting to things, and then we had all this time with our children. And work-wise also, both of us were adjusting. How do we do this? Our company was trying to figure out, on daily calls, conferences. But now it's come fallen into kind of a pattern. So I get up really early morning and trying to finish all my emails and whatever thinking work that I need to do for the day before the kids wake up. And while I'm on call, my husband takes over and he plays with them, or he, plays indoor football or anything. And while he's on call, I read them storybooks or puzzles or do homework or things like that. So we try kind of, it falls in some sort of a chaotic pattern, I would say. Sometimes there are times when both of us are on call. So I tell my elder one to take care of the younger one. So
yeah, that's nice.
Or the best part is I just send them for a bath and I say, sit in the tub for the longest time and play with the bath toys, which they love to do because the weather is so hot. So it's, so it's definitely tough, but you have to figure it out.
And it's wonderful that they have each other, so they can, the older one can kind of take care of the younger one. Does that happen?
Definitely. I mean, that is one of the biggest boons, I would say, that we had our younger one before the lockdown. Because I have seen, my elder one's friends, they're all some of them are single children, and they're finding it very boring because they don't know what to do with their time. But here, these, and my, since the younger one is 2 years old, it's a very entertaining age because he's learning to run. It's a developing age. So it's been a little easier that way because, sometimes I feel like you don't need a Netflix or a Hotstar. You just watch the younger one and you're entertained for the rest of the day.
Right. So what are your views on how they are dealing or coping with their online school? Like, are they interested? What about, can they pay attention? How is that going?
Okay, so I had varying views on this. When it started, I was happy that, there is some interaction with the teacher. And then they had given a summer break while, both my younger one is in Montessori training and my elder one goes to an IGCSE school. So both of them started online school, and I found it very strange for a 2-year-old to have online school. But so he had a half an hour session where they did, they showed PowerPoint presentations, and then they used to send us activities to do with the child the day before. And he had to do them during class, like a coloring or sticking. And it was very difficult for my 2-year-old to sit in half an hour and watch a screen. And sometimes I'd give him the piece of paper and he'd tear it up. And I used to find it such a waste of my time because I had to manage all of the other things before, like my own work, my own meetings, plus do all this. And then so he never used to sit. He only used to listen to the stories or the songs that the teachers used to sing. So I didn't find it very effective. And then the ban came from the Maharashtra government for kids below a certain age not to do these online schooling. So I was happy about that. And now, probably like a once a week call or a music class is probably being set up, which is a good thing, so that they can be in touch with their friends and their teachers. So so for the 2-year-old, online schooling, I didn't think, because I think more practical life is important, especially when it's Montessori training, which is a hands-on training. So it's difficult for him to manage online school. But for my older one, I feel that I'm not a trained teacher. I cannot teach. I don't know. I mean, I suck at certain subjects like maths, Hindi. All of these are not my things, not my cup of tea at all. And it's difficult for me to teach him. I'm not trained as a teacher, and I don't even know the tools which I use to teach kids of this age. So I tried. I mean, I was very happy that the school started again, and now it's more systematic. So my elder one school is using a certain software which puts up, the teachers have to put up the classwork that's done, the homework that's there, and that I feel is better in terms of, when they actually go to school, they're just told, we don't get these messages, because sometimes 6-year-olds and 7-year-olds don't give you correct messages, even if you write, but they don't do it. Even constantly asking and probing, and sometimes it's missed out. So this gives access, so which is good. But at the same time, while they're on the screen, there are a lot of scribbling on the screen. Like my son suddenly switches off because the network doesn't connect, and he'll go on to watching YouTube because he's bored of the class, and we have to constantly watch that. So that is very challenging. And I don't know how much he's learning through these half an hour Zoom sessions, but what I feel is it's a good connect. And since I get to know the classwork, at least I have the option of doing it with him later, even if I don't have the time. But on the weekend, I can probably brush it up or something. But it gives him, I also feel it gives him structure to the day. Since he has to sit down at a certain time in his uniform and listen to his teachers explaining things. So if this was a long-term thing, I don't know how much he'd learn. And I was very apprehensive. Initially, I was very what is my child going to fall behind? Because I don't know anything about what to teach him, how to teach him. We have the books, we have everything, but we're not trained to do that. So all of these things went into my head initially.
Absolutely, Kenaz, and I really hear what you are saying, and I think every parent, around the world at this time has those same questions in mind. Are we doing the right thing? Are we helping our children in the right way? So, I mean, I absolutely hear you, and I really appreciate you sharing, your experience during this uncertain time.
Great. Thanks a lot, Bharati.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Look forward to listening to what you have to say.
Absolutely. Yeah, so that was really interesting to hear firsthand from parents like Kainaz on on dealing with younger children, and it also shows that it's normal to be vulnerable, and it's normal to be scared, and it's normal to be happy all at the same time. Yeah. So as I was saying, that Kaina has mentioned in her video that one of her fears is that she's not sure how much her sons are learning through the half an hour Zoom lessons conducted by the school. And, I think that is my takeaway, very important takeaway number one, which is short bursts of learning. And research shows that children learn much better in short bursts of 15-20 minute segments, rather than a packed schedule. And long study hours are not really good for learning. So it's a very good thing that the Zoom classes are not more than 15 to 30 minutes long. And neuroscience supports these frequent breaks, and teachers in schools usually give the breaks throughout the day so students can process the information they've learned more effectively. The brain at rest is called the default mode, and it's still working and it's still processing information subconsciously. So don't overload your children. Try to teach them in short 15-minute segments and give them the breaks they need to do what they want, which is the time that they're still processing what they have learned. And generally, younger students need more breaks, but students of all ages benefit from them. For young ones, the research shows that breaks even improve the attention span. And breaking lessons into smaller, more manageable chunks helps them focus more. And older students need breaks every 20 to 30 minutes to maintain their focus and energy. And the other tip is that within a session, combine screen time with offline activities or exercises. Like spend time discussing with them what they've learned, play with them, have little snacks, let them do what they want, just relax and enjoy this time. So this brings me to takeaway number 2, which is flexible learning spaces. Many of us have now been hearing about office spaces and how they're getting more and more flexible. Like, who hasn't dreamt of Google offices with, the massage rooms and the recreation centers and the awesome places to chill? That would definitely up my productivity. So similarly, in the education space, a lot of research has shown that flexible classrooms that provide a variety of seating choices. So desks and chairs, sofas, bean bags, different spots by the window, cozy cubby holes where students can choose to learn. It leads to increased engagement and productivity for the students. So, many of the top schools in India are trying which is funny because now the students are actually trying to work from home. Like the schools were trying to make it, put couches in their classrooms, tables, flexible seating. And during this COVID time, since students are learning from home, encourage them to choose where they want to sit. Let them move the furniture, use props, to fit their learning needs. You might want to maintain some structure, like establish a few parameters of what types of work occurs in what spaces, but give children the choice. Give your children the choice. For example, if a student, he may be at a traditional desk for maths practice, with good lighting and quiet, but can transition to a couch or a beanbag to watch an online math instruction on a device. So get creative, let them create a reading corner by piling up cushions and making a little nook. A beanbag by the window can be an art corner where they can, look out of the window. Create a balance between offering structured space and allowing your children to choose. Choice and agency is so important in developing their confidence. So let them choose where they can learn and engage most comfortably, and don't make them sit on the same desk and chair throughout the day. Like, this limits creativity and is an outdated system. So we've talked about, so far in the session, we've talked about short learning bursts and flexibility in choosing in the house where they would like to learn. And so my next big topic is emotional well-being, and this leads me to my takeaway number 3, emotional check-ins. This is such an important subject, and decades of research reveals that a sense of belonging, well-being, and connection is crucial for learning. If your child is upset or lonely, for example, the research suggests that they simply won't be productive learners. So now is the time that you can really emotionally connect with your child. Encourage them to ask questions, express their feelings with you. Remember that your child may have different reactions to stress. So be patient and understanding. Start by inviting your child to talk about, how they're feeling throughout the day. Use lightweight check-ins and vary the question, asking, if you made or use an emoji that best represents your mood right now, what would it be? Or what color or blend of colors best represents how you're feeling today? And why? So such questions may evoke more more heartfelt responses rather than just how are you feeling today. So drawing, stories, and other activities may help to open, to have an open discussion, and try not to minimize or avoid their concerns. Be sure to acknowledge their feelings and assure them that it's natural to feel scared about the way life may have changed. There's no school, coronavirus, or any other concerns they may have, not being able to see their friends, their teachers. So show that you're listening by giving them your full attention, and make sure they understand that they can talk to you anytime and they can talk to their teachers whenever they like. So these emotional check-ins are really important. And, you may have noticed that one of the overarching takeaways thus far in the presentation is giving your children agency, creating a democratic environment in which your child has a say in decisions related to her life. Which leads me to takeaway number 4. Plan a routine jointly. Jointly being the operative word. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity in which you can plan a routine that suits both you and your child's personalized needs. Don't force your children to wake up very early in the morning. Let them sleep in. They are sleep deprived. They are in a better mood if they get the sleep they need. I'd like to play a short excerpt from a children's expert, Anna Humayun, who gave a talk on NPR. So I'm just going to play a short video from her right now.
And this is Anna.
We know that they've been sleep deprived. You've been reporting on it. We've all been reporting on it for months and years. So this is a time that they can get all the sleep they need without really any forcing them up at 6:30 or 7 in the morning.
Oh my gosh, that takes such a load off of me.
I gotta say, it's the nicest part of this week so far is not having to drag my preschooler out of bed. And realizing that she, it puts her in a better mood, and I'm in a better mood because I get to have a cup of coffee and brush my teeth before I deal with the whole day,
Yeah, so developing your own schedule makes it much easier for, both you and your child. And this is, the one time that you actually have the opportunity to do this. But that being said, routine and structure is critically important for children and young people in these times. And you may notice that while that is the case, they also need some level of flexibility. So switch up the activities. If your child is seeming restless or agitated when you're trying to follow an online learning program with them, flip to a more active option. Do not forget that planning, doing household chores together safely is great for development of fine and gross motor functions. So try to kind of stay attuned to their needs as much as possible. And I would say come up with a plan or a schedule together as far as you can. And younger students, keep in mind that they perform best on analytical tasks earlier in the day. Parents may want to schedule activities like math in the morning. For the teenage brain, a later start and more sleep can mean better memory and retention. Also, typically homeschoolers teach for 2 to 4 academic hours a day. So don't feel the need to force your child to study for more than that time. And this is for, older kids, of course. So that would lead me to takeaway number 5. You need to know your child's capacity for online learning. With online learning, strong learners can do even better, and weaker learners can have an even harder time. This is an excerpt from an interview on NPR again with Justin Reich. He is an education researcher at MIT, and he talks about online learning. So listen to what he has to say.
Online learning is really hard for a lot of people. It requires a lot of self-regulated learning skills that, even a lot of really adult, sophisticated learners don't particularly have very well.
Reich has spent a really long time studying how online learners do, how self-directed learners do. And he says, there's kind of a penalty for learning online.
We sometimes talk about the transition from face-to-face learning to online learning as having an online penalty, that in lots of different kinds of research, people do worse in online learning settings. They get lower grades, they're more likely to drop out and fail and those kinds of things. And that online penalty is worse for the most vulnerable, struggling students in our system.
With all this in mind, we have to be realistic of our expectations of how much our kids can learn online, and how long they can work on their own, and how much support they need from the adults at home. Every child has their own learning style. Some kids prefer to work alone and are good at self-directed learning, and other kids don't like working alone. They like to work in groups, collaborating. So for them, it's important to find a Zoom class or classes where they can have peer interaction. So all of this is, so new for parents and for the kids, and there are new resources coming up all the time. So stay in touch with your child's school, teachers and principals. Feel free to talk to the teachers, ask questions on how to kind of step in for your child's learning. I would say feel free to ask for help. And the interview I showed earlier with Kainaz, who's a mother of a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and during the interview she said that she was afraid her children would fall behind if they can't learn so well online. To this, I would want to say that at most good schools, such as, I can talk about College du Lemont, boarding school, what children are learning now will be revisited again at a later stage with their teachers. So there's no need to feel this additional pressure that if your kind of child is not picking up or not able to cope, it's okay. Like, it's okay if they don't understand a particular concept right now. They will not forever be behind. That's really not the case, and most of it will be revised in school. So we've talked about the limitations of online learning. Now I'd like to talk about some of the things we should be noticing while we help our kids learn. So takeaway number 6 is honor process, not outcome. This is very important for parents to be mindful of, that it's the process of your child's learning that's more important than the right answer or of an assignment being completed. Observe and notice your child's thinking skills, critical skills, analytical skills, and get them to explain what they have learned. Notice, are they able to write coherently? How are these things progressing? It's these processes that are more important than the right answer. And it's also not only about retention and memorizing. That's the first step, but effective learning requires that students retrieve information. then make new meaning out of it. So in class, this retrieval of information is tested through quizzes, tests, exams. At home, you can switch this retrieval method up and make it much more personal through discussion, producing art, talking about what they've learned rather than rereading or rote note taking. Yes, learning requires repeated and active manipulation of the materials that are learned, but do this in a more personalized way based on what your child enjoys. Also, many studies reveal that teaching what you've learned to somebody else, to a parent or to another sibling, is a great way to learn and to make the learning stick. So get your child to teach you or to teach a sibling whatever they have learned. It's also very important to encourage kids to take their time. All well-done tasks take time and effort. Encourage them to engage in productive struggle by giving them difficult assignments, praising them for their effort and persistence. Research shows that when students solve problems that are challenging but not out of their reach, they deepen the learning. So allow them to wrestle with problems before intervening. And one very important aspect of this I read in Carol Dweck's book Mindset is that when work is completed, try to avoid praising your child for being smart. Studies show that praising children for inborn talent tends to make them more risk averse and discourages them from trying new things and challenging things. It's, you want your kids to continue to push themselves, and praising effort and hard work is more effective than, telling them how smart they are. And effort is better to praise to build the resilience and endurance they need. So, that was takeaway number 6. Takeaway number 7 is creative learning. So now is a great time for passion projects. This is, a great time for your kids to learn what he or she really wants to learn. Use this as an opportunity to ask your child, like, hey, what do you want to learn but didn't have time to learn? Or it could have been an instrument they wanted to learn online, or songwriting. Give your kids a little nudge. It could be cooking, Minecraft, an art history analysis. Pick up a painting or a photograph and study it together and interpret it. And say what you as the parent think of this piece of art and why you think that, and ask the opinion of your child. And discuss this, out loud. Read books together. The conversations that come from reading books are just amazing. And you've, done your learning for the day just by reading a few books. Read some chapters, and the most important thing is to talk about them. And research shows that, music, art, drawing, and dance are highly engaging activities that also improve language skills, mental focus, empathy, creativity. So just encourage them to do anything they're truly interested in. Tap into that self-motivation that they have that allows them to keep working hard. And then you won't have to, be running behind them to do the work. If they're immersed in what they like doing, parents also get time to themselves. So, this is the key to kind of independent learning. And it's a great time to try this. And, finally, in the hustle of the academic work, don't forget the importance of exercise. Not only does it provide a respite for the brain from taxing analytical tasks like math or science, but so much research shows that exercise can actually alter the brain structure in ways that improve memory, attention, mood, cognitive function. Unstructured play with very few rules and lots of room for imagination is recommended by, all the top educators, because it gives kids a space and the time to practice social emotional skills, creative problem solving. So just give them unstructured play. And For you parents, be realistic, manage your expectations. You are not teachers. You're trying to juggle your work, trying to create a perfect learning environment right now or experience for your child creates an unnecessary pressure on both you and the child. So just relax and, be realistic. This leads me to takeaway number 8. So yes, there's been an explosion of classes, exercise classes, singing classes, charity projects online, plethora of education apps. It's become, kind of overwhelming, which, gets me to takeaway number 8, which is resources and tools. When it comes to homeschooling, resources are amazing, but they're just aids, right? And yes, there is every possible resource out there on the internet, but it's an information overload. What we don't have is time. So it's very important to prioritize the resources. 2 things to keep in mind when choosing resources is, 1, what is my kid's greatest need and area of improvement that he needs or she needs, and what is my child's biggest interest or passion. Prioritize these 2 things and the resources given by the school. We're not going to recreate, we're not going to recreate school. Schools are the experts in education. Work together with the school. You both have the same goal. Both want the best for the child. So work with your child's school, support the school, and help each other. It's super helpful to keep in touch with, your children's teachers. Ask questions, get more guidance. Parents groups or community groups can also be a great way to support each other with your homeschooling. Also, it's okay if you sometimes resort to the television or to the iPad if you need a break. It's fine, it's normal. Just keep it somewhat educational. While we want to reduce screen time, we have to be realistic. It's not only about you, the parent, getting tired, it's also about your child getting tired and wanting some downtime. So be flexible, don't have crazy expectations, and connect with your child. Okay, so we've talked a lot about the younger kids. Now let's talk a little bit about tips for secondary students. I can definitely say, for example, that at College du Le Mans, the school doesn't ask parents to be teachers. They just ask for a little support from the parents during this difficult time. And, with older children, it's important to, to give them their own space to study, make sure that they have everything they need near them. There's a certain structure to the day, designated study time and break time every 30 minutes. And also it's important not to underestimate the importance of social contact for secondary students. Students are used to spending time with their friends. This is the part that's lacking for everybody right now. So it's important to build that into the day using video chat, social media. For secondary students, the teachers are there checking their work, talking to them on Zoom, which takes the pressure off the parents. Give older students autonomy with their work. They can use Google Docs. Both the parents and teachers can review at their own convenience and give feedback at their own time. The parents' main role for secondary students is managing their non-learning time. Take care of the children emotionally and their general well-being. Encourage them to go outside into the balcony, kick a ball instead of resorting to the iPad or to YouTube, playing card games, board games. Try your best to not let them default to a screen. This and the next one, which is also something that all of us are struggling with right now, is social interaction. We're all missing it, and I speak for myself when I say I haven't seen my best friend friends in months. We talk on Zoom, we talk on the phone. I go downstairs to the garden, socialize, which I look forward to a lot. So with a work routine, an exercise routine, with some family time, we have all of that in place. So and we need that, right? So we have to be mindful of making sure that that social interaction is there, rather than what many of us tend to do is get stuck to a device. So similarly for our children, parents must take the effort of setting up Zoom calls with their children's friends, lunch bunches. Of course, your child will probably run all over the place and not sit in front of the screen, but that's okay. Be flexible if things don't go to plan. Connecting with friends, for sing-alongs, story time is important for children's well-being. If your school has online learning classes, make sure your child regularly engages, with the peers, with their friends through available technology. Or you can also consider snail mail, pen pals, to keep your child connected with other young learners. Normally, social interaction for kids is synonymous with being outside and playing and running around. But during this time, the socializing is also on a device, right? So, so we have to make effortful practices to incorporate play and exercise into the child's routine. And this leads me to takeaway number 11, which is play. Exercise is so very important for kids. Do online fitness classes, with their friends. Get them to move, go outside safely. Playing in the garden is education. Play in the balcony or terrace if you can't go out. Kids need fresh air. It will make them learn better. They need sunshine for better learning, for better mood, for better health. So, play is extremely important to incorporate. So this brings me to my last takeaway, which is takeaway number 12. Parents, don't be too hard on yourselves. Remember, we are all going through a pandemic. You parents are homeschooling while at the same time trying to make a living during an economic crisis. It's impossible to be super productive at work and give your full attention to homeschooling your children. Being a parent, teacher, and working person cannot all be done well at the same time. And that's okay. 3 things to remind yourself. Number 1, relax your homeschooling and productivity standards. One of the main things for parents who have young children at home, I think, is to enjoy what the children are doing. Ease the pressure on yourselves and be mindful to ease the pressure on your children. Young children, as we know, have very short attention spans. Often they will go at their own rhythm. They all learn in different ways. Get creative, have fun, and remember these mantras. I'm not homeschooling. I'm doing my best to help my kids learn at home during a crisis. I'm not working from home. I am doing my best to work from home during a crisis. And 3, don't beat yourself up about being less productive at work. Everyone understands we are in a crisis. If you're on a Zoom call and your kid appears on the screen or throws something out of the window, there is no need to go into a shame spiral. Everyone understands and is empathetic that there's a crisis at hand. The important takeaway message here, I think, is that children and indeed adults do not have access to their thinking or reasoning skills when they are flooded with emotions. If your child cannot focus on school tasks, or you're seeing them melt down or have tantrums or withdraw, it's likely because they're having a difficult time meeting expectations under stress. Right? So the antidote, empathy. Research shows that empathy can calm the nervous system and re-engage the thinking and reasoning side of the brain. When you are in the middle of a meltdown, you might remind yourself of the following mantras. My child is not giving me a hard time, they are having a hard time. Behavior is communication, and my child is telling me they need support. And the teachable moment about behavioral expectations is never in the hot moment. I must calm my child through empathy first, right? So the reality is your job right now as a homeschooling parent is less about academics and more about creating safety, belonging, and acceptance. Your kids can learn about academics from teachers. The most important skill you can teach your child is how to manage difficult feelings under stress. Look at Greater Good in Education. It's a great resource for tips and tools on connecting emotionally with your child and family. And research also shows that gratitude is a great way to cultivate well-being. Here's one simple strategy for you and your family members to start your day. Say, write, or draw, if your child is young, one thing you're grateful for, one thing you definitely want to do today, and one thing to let go of, to accept. Putting gratitude at the front of your day will set a positive tone for the day. And, what can I say? Keep expectations real. Don't set your standards so high that you're doomed for failure. Remember, all the things children are learning online now will be revisited again. Just enjoy watching your children learn. Let them do it at their own pace, which is a rare opportunity for them. Also ask for help. Call your children's teachers, ask them for advice. Organize art and crafts video chats with family members, grandmothers, godparents, uncles, aunts. For your own well-being, create a routine for yourself, for your own personalized routine, not your regular time routine. This is a crisis situation, right? So give yourself some private time. Organize with your child to allow you that possibility of private time. And be prepared for things not going to plan or to your schedule. This is normal. It is normal for things not to go to plan, right? And then, of course, split the childcare with your partner and have regular conversations with your partner. Be forgiving of yourself, of your partner, and of your kids. If you need to take an afternoon off, let your kids watch a movie. There is a lot of education content out there, as we've shown in an earlier slide of the resources that parents love. So there's a lot. And don't homeschool. If it's going to cause emotional distress, this is very, very important for parents to hear right now, because they have work pressure, financial pressure, emotional stress. Maybe it's time to take a step back. It's okay to say, okay, for the next 2-3 days there's going to be no homeschooling, no teaching, no learning. Right now I need a break, so let's do nothing for the next 2-3 days as far as teaching and learning is concerned. So in conclusion, I think this is such an important time to come together, care for each other within our families, and care for our schools. Let's unite together with the whole community and work hand in hand. And to sum up, the common thread today has been that this is new terrain for everyone. We're all in this together. We've got to be flexible, support each other, empathize, and emotionally connect with each other. Remember that we are all humans. Don't set your expectations too high, and above all, enjoy the time. It may seem difficult, with all the multitasking going on, but this is a special time to spend with your children, with your family, and to learn more about yourself. Thank you, and I hope you found this helpful.